What's up, people? In this video, we're going to do... Whoops, fuck, what did I just do? Oh my god. Racing? Scenery? Oh shit. Default. Alright, Dopamine Fast by Improvement Pill. Okay, here we go. Dopamine Fast. Let's take a look by Improvement Pill. If you guys have any other recommendations for videos or YouTubers, let me know.
So I received the following comment a couple of videos ago from a Mr. Bot. He asks, how does one recover from a period of unwanted slacking off? What are some good practices and ways to recover? Essentially asking how to get your life back together. Now, when I came across this comment, the first thing that came to my mind was actually a ritual that I invented many years ago back in college when I was drinking, smoking, and simply partying way too hard. It's a ritual that worked extremely well for me back then, and it's something that I still do at least once or twice every single year. I call it the Dopamine Fast. Now, in order for this to work, you have to treat it like a sort of holiday. This is an entire day event that starts from the moment you wake up all the way until the moment you fall asleep. And this is a special holiday because unlike most other holidays which are fun and filled with activities, the entire purpose of this one is to have as little fun as possible, which means that there's a huge list of things that you cannot do. That's right, things that you consider to be fun, entertaining, or pleasurable are strictly forbidden. So this means no food. All you're allowed to do is drink water. No phone. You can leave it on for emergency calls, but you can't use it. No internet, which includes surfing the web and or social media of any kind. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. No watching of videos. So this means no TV, no YouTube, no Netflix, no going to the movies, no substances of any kind, no alcohol, no weed, no drugs, no cigarettes, and nothing with caffeine, no video games, no music, no hanging out with your friends, no talking to anyone unless it's an emergency or for something work-related, no masturbating, and finally, no reading of any books, fiction and or non-fiction. Now here's what you can do. You can drink water, you can walk around outside, you can meditate, you can do some light exercise, and most importantly of all, you can write using a pen and paper. And those are the rules. Now at this point in time, you're probably wondering, why in the world?
So I started watching this and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I was like, what a dumb fucking thing. Like, why don't you just like, because the goal of this is like to, what do you say? Like get out of a period of procrastinating or something, or get out of a period where you're just like a loser or some shit. I don't know. And my initial reaction was just like, well, why don't you just fucking like do some fucking work? Like, why don't you actually just like sit down and do it? You know, instead of fucking complaining about it and asking fucking random YouTubers about it. That said, all of that stuff, it sounds actually kind of pretty cool to do a dopamine fast. Like, I'll never do it, but like it sounds good, you know, like basically no tech, like essentially live like it was like 1,000 years ago. Even more hardcore than that, no food. So like, all right, let's take a look at this practically. Like if you're one of these people and if you're watching this video on YouTube, like if you got to this video, my video, you spend too much time on YouTube. Straight up. Like if you somehow found my channel and oh my God, God forbid you watch all my videos, you spend too much time on YouTube. Like straight up. Like I love you, thank you so much. But like if you're here, if you're actually watching this, you're like, you know, you gotta get out more. Anyway. So if you spend a lot of time watching videos and being on social media and fucking not getting any work done and like masturbating and eating and like all that stuff, I guess there is some benefit in going cold turkey, quitting cold turkey for a brief period. The one thing that came to my mind when he was talking about no eating is that in periods when I fast, I get a lot more work done. It's like I get like twice as much work done. It's actually like insane because you don't have to spend any time eating or recovering from eating. And also like it just kind of like, I don't know if it like jacks up your adrenaline or what when you fast, but I sleep less. So not only am I like, I've cut out the like 5-hour block where I like eat my meal and like recover from eating my meal before I go to bed. It's like 5 hours, right? Take that out, and also I'm adding like another 2 hours just because I go to bed later because I'm not tired. I don't need as much sleep, right? So yeah, you will get more work done. Plus, when you're not doing any of this other shit, like what are you actually gonna do, right? You're gonna like write shit down on your like legal pad. Like, what's that really gonna do for you? I guess it can be helpful to do this to kind of break yourself of the habit, but I just don't think that like. Well, I don't know. Let me see where he's going with this.
Would anyone do this to themselves? It sounds miserable. It sounds like torture. Well, I'm going to show you exactly why the dopamine fast is so effective and how committing to this ritual can force you into becoming extremely productive again. And I'm also going to explain why writing is so important during a dopamine fast. But before we do that, I do want to thank the sponsors of today's videos, the guys over at Vincero Watches. If you're going to be doing a dopamine fast, which means you're basically doing nothing all day, trust me, you're going to end up wondering what the time is quite often, which means you need a watch. But on a more serious note, I never really wore watches before getting introduced to Vincero earlier this year, and since then I've been paying a lot more attention to the way I dress and the importance of fashion in general. And by just applying some simple fashion tips like matching the color of my watch strap with the color of my belt and shoes, I've actually started to get a lot more compliments, especially from my female friends. It's accessories like watches that can change your entire demeanor and how people view you because, well, a good watch indicates that you're someone of high status. Now, there are a lot of cookie-cutter, mass-produced, low-quality watches out there, so it's kind of hard to find a good watch to add to your outfit nowadays. Vincero is great because they stand out, they have expensive-looking designs, and the quality is top-notch. On top of all that, they're super affordable. They provide the look and the feel of a watch worth 5x the price point. Now, I managed to get Vincero to hook us up with an amazing deal that I know you guys are going to love. All you have to do is click on the link in the description box below to find out more about it. Alright, so let's resume our conversation about the dopamine fast. Now, there are two main reasons as to why it's so effective. The first is that
I mean, I gotta talk about that. So like when I watch stuff like that, I'm like, I don't, it doesn't, I'm not saying it depresses me, but I'm like longing for that day, right? Where like, you know, I get to say like, oh, this episode was brought to you by Vincero Watches, or the equivalent of that in like 5 years or whenever, if that even ever happens to me. Because I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, this guy like for sure got like hooked up with a bunch of watches. He's got 1.5 million YouTube subscribers, probably got paid like a good like 15-20 grand for that little fucking 30-second commercial. When's it gonna happen for me? When's it gonna happen? Vincero, yeah, I'm too small for you, but like when am I gonna get mine, you know? When am I gonna make it? Someday. Anyway, let's move on.
it starves your donkey. What do I mean by this? Well, if you think about it, the relationship between your mind and body is sort of like the relationship between a rider and a donkey. If you're riding a donkey and you want it to move, all you have to do is wave a carrot in front of him. This is similar to how if you want to convince your body to do something that's hard, all you have to do is think about the reward you'll get after. This is basically how habits work. We automatically do things as long as there is a decent reward that follows, as long as there is a carrot on a stick. Now, what happens to us when our life is a mess is that we've been indulging in too many stimulating things. Things like porn, drugs, junk food, and binge watching shows all produce a huge amount of dopamine. This is equivalent to letting your donkey eat at a buffet of carrots and other tasty donkey vegetables. If your donkey's been eating at a buffet all week, he's not going to be motivated by a little carrot on a stick anymore because he's full. When you commit to doing a dopamine fast, you're essentially starving your donkey. You're giving your body as little stimulation as possible for an entire day. And when your donkey is starving, you can easily convince him to move by waving just a little carrot in front of him. This means when you wake up in the morning after doing a dopamine fast, you'll find it much easier to convince yourself to go to the gym or to read some pages of a book by thinking about the reward you will give yourself after. The second reason committing to a dopamine fast is
fascinating. Very interesting. I never thought about it like that, but that makes a lot of sense, right? If you're so, and I guess this is like the problem with like, I don't want to say modern, let's call it modern society, right? Internet technology, right? Like you have all these people, and now, you know, okay, we'll get to that in a second, but you have all these people who, if you want a fucking dopamine hit, pull out your phone, go on Instagram or Snapchat or fucking go on YouTube, like literally anything, fucking instant dopamine. You're entertained immediately, right? I'm not immune to this either. You know, I wake up in the morning and like I go downstairs and immediately I have my cup of coffee. Is that dopamine? I don't know. And I check the YouTube comments. I check the comments on my videos and I fucking respond to them. You know what I mean? And I'm getting like all this like interesting shit. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. And then I come back upstairs and I fucking start recording these videos, which I guess is work now that I think about it. So maybe I'm a little bit removed from that. But in theory, it sounds good. I guess it's been so long since like I don't eat junk food. I don't watch porn. I don't like do any of this stuff anyway. So I don't know. Maybe I can't like relate so well anymore. I used to, but I guess like it's good. Makes sense. Like I guess it'll work. Yeah, it sounds like it'll work. What's the next point? I wonder.
So effective is because it prevents you from masking your pain. What is the purpose of pain? Well, if you think about it, pain is an indicator that something is wrong and needs to be fixed, right? It's a sign that there's a problem somewhere. If your hand is touching something that's too hot, you feel pain and your brain goes, there's a problem over there, and it automatically moves your hand. Pain is necessary for us to fix our problems. The same thing applies to emotional pain. Things like rejection, loneliness, and shame. These are all indicators that something is wrong in our lives. But the problem with us humans is that we love to run away from these feelings. We love to self-medicate with pleasure instead of solving the actual problem. That's why so many people turn to food, drugs, sex, and alcohol when they're in a bad mood, because all of these things can make that pain go away, at least temporarily. Now, when you do a dopamine fast, you have no...
It's brilliant. Oh my God, this guy's amazing. Yeah, that's true. You know, that's definitely true, right? Like if you're in pain, you're gonna want to change. Straight up, pain is very good for leading to change. And I'm glad he did address that, because like the first part essentially was like removing pleasure, which is different than like encouraging pain, which he didn't actually say like you should punish yourself if you do that, but that can also be a good strategy. He didn't really address that, so like, it's not really a point. But if your life sucks and you're fucking masking it by spending all this time on social media and YouTube and just like essentially distracting or play video games, whatever, junk food, if you're distracting yourself from it all the time, you're not going to change, you know. And I think everybody does this to a certain extent. We all have our lives that we lead where, like, you know, you wake up in the morning and then before you know it, it's the end of the day and you're like, shit, what did I do today? You know, even if you did productive things, like these days, I feel like I have very productive days. I create, you know, 5, 6, 7 pieces of content a day now, very productive, that will stay online forever. You know, 2 to 3 hours of content I'm doing a day, but still I go to bed at night and I'm like, shit. And I work out, you know, I'm in good shape, I'm fucking healthy, but still I go to bed at the end of the day and I'm like, fuck man, like I could have done more, you know? Yeah, anyway, what's the next point?
Way of avoiding your problems, because there's literally nothing you can do to mask any of the pain, and this forces you to address all of the problems that you've been running away from for who knows how long. And here's where writing comes in. In order to address this pain, the best thing to do is to write, to organize your thoughts, to figure out why you're feeling this pain to begin with, and to eventually come up with a plan. See, every time I commit to doing a dopamine fast, I will spend at least a couple of hours writing throughout the day. Here are a couple of very good questions to ask yourself. These are the writing prompts that I'll use most often whenever I commit to doing a dopamine fast. Question number 1: do I feel any discomfort today? If so, where in my body am I feeling it? Is this an emotion or is this physical pain? If it's an emotion, try to describe it. Is it anxiety? Is it depression? Is it shame? What does it feel like? Question number 2: ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Now, it's important not to blame a chemical reason or, you know, genetics or other people, because most of the time the reason we feel bad is because of something that we can control. There are almost always things that you are doing that are causing these issues. So ask yourself, what things have I been doing that could possibly be causing these issues? Question number 3: what should I do to fix it? What are 1 to 3 things that I can do tomorrow that will at least somewhat address this pain? Things that would get me a couple of steps closer to fixing whatever problem is causing this pain.
Oh my God, amazing. Like, brilliant. This is, I don't know who sent me this, but incredible. Fuck. Like this, okay, so all this stuff falls into the category of like stuff you should be doing anyway, right? Like you don't need to like, I mean, I guess it could be, you could consider it like a good exercise to write, you know, let's say you're not doing a dopamine fast, to take an hour out of your day and write this shit down. Like honestly, I kind of want to do this after this video, or like sit down and like answer these questions basically. So, you know, if in the past, because I haven't written much lately just because I'm making a lot of these videos, but I've had tons of blogs and written a ton of shit because I type really fast and I can sit down and crank out 5,000 words in a couple hours, and it's very good for me to like get the thoughts out of my head and on paper. And as I do that, what I'm essentially doing, I'm not answering these 3 questions exactly. I'm kind of just like letting my mind go wherever it wants and typing it out as it comes into my mind. Because fortunately, like I said, I can type very fast and I can do that. So I think this is great. I think especially, and like I said, it's kind of hard for me to relate to somebody who fucking sits around all day and does nothing and is just like consuming social media and jerking off and fucking eating junk food. That's like so far from like anything like resembling what my life is currently, that like, yeah, if you, well, here's the problem is that like, if you're the type of person that you feel like you need to do something like this, it's just do it. I was gonna say it's hard for you to do it, but like because I know somebody, I won't say who, I don't know if he watches my videos, probably not, but I know somebody, this is like exactly them. Like they're on YouTube all the time, talks about fucking jerking off all the time, eats virtually only junk food all the time, and would be very well served by doing a dopamine fast. But honestly, like, no offense, dog, like if you watch this, I've just given up hope on this person, you know. And I tried to be hopeful for a long time, people like this, but you know, if people fall into the pit, then you know, you can't really, it's up to them to decide when they crawl out. You know, you can't pull them out. They have to pull themselves out. So anyway, that's that. If you suggested this video, you're probably interested in pulling yourself out, which is a good sign. So yeah, man, if this like, honestly, this sounds great. Like I wouldn't do it like this because I have shit I need to do, and I have fucking supplements I need to take, and like I honestly, I mean, not that I don't need it, but I might do like a modified version of this, me personally, because I feel like I'm already, not like bragging or anything, I feel like I already have a lot of good habits in place where I don't need to like cut myself off from technology. Like I can sit and write on the computer for 3-4 hours without thinking about it anyway. You know what I mean? But yeah, if that's you, like if you sit around and jerk off and eat junk food and your life sucks because of that, do this. Fuck, man, it's amazing.
Question number 4. What would my life be like if I did not do any of these 1 to 3 things for the next 5 years? Assume the worst possible scenario and really describe it. And finally, question number 5. What would my life be like if I stuck to these 1 to 3 things consistently for the next 5 years? Assume the best possible scenario and really describe it. Now, the key to getting the most out of these writing prompts is to write a lot. The more you write, the better. But allow yourself to really focus on what you're writing. Give yourself some time to think between answering each of these prompts. Write slowly and neatly. You have all of the time in the world because, quite frankly, there isn't much else to do. If you answer all of these prompts in detail, you're going to have a clear idea of exactly what you need to do tomorrow. You're going to feel pretty motivated to stick to the 1 to 3 things that you wrote about because you'll come to realize that there are things that will get you closer to solving your problems. And that's why the dopamine fast is so effective. Now again, this is...
It's very interesting. I wonder if this guy, he says he made it up on his own. I wonder if he like took this from Tony Robbins, because this is very similar to what Tony Robbins says to do. Basically, there's 4 questions that you need to ask yourself. It's like, if you want to change, you want to do something, it's like, is it 4 questions or 2 questions? It's like, oh yeah, it's 4. It's like, what good things would happen if I do this? What bad things would happen if I do this? What good things would happen if I don't do this? And what bad things would happen if I don't do this, right? So it's like the 4. He's saying to just focus on the 2, right? Which is it's common in like copywriting, like sales letters, where like they're, you know, sales letters, they follow a specific formula, right? It's 12 steps. I won't bore you with all of them, but like at one point you're supposed to like talk about all the benefits, right? Which is essentially talking about all the good things that will happen if you do this. With sales letters, it's like all the good things that will happen to you if you buy this, right? And then at the end of the sales letter, you're supposed to talk about the opposite, all the bad things that will happen to you if you don't do it, right? In my experience, what I've observed, like people are very, it's unlikely that people will change behavior or work for something to achieve a positive outcome. It's very rare, right? It's so rare it almost doesn't happen. What is much more likely to happen is people, like if somebody's going to change, they're much more likely to change to avoid a negative outcome, right? There's all these studies on this, and I might have also stolen this from Tony Robbins, but like to avoid the fear of loss, it's not even loss, it's to avoid the fear of loss. We'll fucking do anything, right? Human beings. So, you know, like the way that I talk about fitness, it's like fitness, for example, right? Like I always say, like it's like eating healthy food, right? If I eat shitty food, I will feel bad, which is why I avoid eating shitty food, right? Unless I'm like about to go to bed, then I'll fucking go to bed anyway. I'm like, who cares? I'll be sleeping, you know? If I work out, I will avoid negative feelings of feeling like I'm less than the people around me. I'm less attractive than them. I'll avoid people like looking at me in disgust. I'll avoid them ignoring me when I'm outside because I'm not attractive, right? That's what I'm working for when it comes to fitness. That's why I work out hard, right? I'm avoiding people potentially leaving a comment on one of my videos saying, well, you're fucking out of shape and look disgusting. Why should I take your advice? I'm avoiding those things. It's less that I'm pursuing a certain body type because of positive benefits, right? Because like at the end of the day, as a man, you're not going to get that many. Like how often, even if you're like fucking top like 0.01%, it's rare that somebody's going to come out and give you like an obvious compliment. Be like, wow, you look amazing, or wow, you're jacked. Like how often does that actually happen? Here and there, maybe. And like, okay, let's say I go outside and like I walk down the street and I notice like some girls looking at me or something. Like, how long does it take for a girl to actually look at me? Like a second, not even. You know, you notice it for a second and you fucking move on and then it's gone, right? That benefit in and of itself is not really that good. How much time a day do I actually spend working out? Not that much, you know? So like the benefit of that is it's not really to pursue a benefit. It's to avoid negative outcomes that in my mind I've associated with extremely negative feelings that I don't want to feel those. Okay, so in terms of like this dopamine fast, what I would recommend when you're writing these questions is like what do you want to avoid, right? I would focus on that and really build that up in your mind. And the problem is that when you have a life that like you're constantly like making yourself feel good artificially as a result of whatever, social media, fucking YouTube, junk food, jerking off, whatever, when you have a life that's like that, like you said, it's very easy to mask the pain, you know? one more example, and I'll end the video. But when I was living in LA a couple of years ago, I was not in a good place, and I've mentioned this before, but I was like super depressed, and I had yoga. I had these like hour and 15-minute yoga classes that really kind of like kept me in a bad place for a very long time. Yeah, it was a healthy habit, but you know, it kept me in a situation that I should have left immediately, right? But the way that I got out of it is I imagined myself, because this was already after I'd traveled for years and like been all around the world and lived this like very independent lifestyle where I'm just like coming and going as I please and meeting tons of people and experiencing new things. And then all of a sudden I go back to my hometown and it's like none of that ever happened. It's like back like where it started, fucking same like loser that I was when I left. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, shit, like, you know, I'm at the time I think I was like 33. I was like, shit, I'm only 33. God, that was only 2 years ago. Wow, done a lot in 2 years. I'm only 33. I have so many more chances to like get out there and do more. You know what I mean? I can go live much more interesting life. And that fear of loss kind of like pushed me to make the decision to actually live. Anyway, interesting video. Definitely do this dopamine fast. Highly recommend it if you need it. If you're not able to just like do this shit on your own, yeah, give it a shot. Why not? I think it's a great video. Gets my official thumbs up. Yeah, if you got any more, let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.